Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Hebrews 12:2. As we approach Easter, it's good to remember all that Jesus did for us on the cross. I've been thinking a lot about the joy that he was looking forward to when he fulfilled his mission. This thought, this goal, this vision, this dream empowered him to endure the pain that he was going to go through. Of all the things that he was looking forward to, it was the joy that was waiting for him after it was all over. This joy, unspeakable and full of glory, was the number one prize that he was longing for. This was no ordinary joy. It was heaven's joy that far surpassed all transient joy that the world has to offer. It was the joy of a mission accomplished, a race won that exceeded any other esteemed in the sporting world by man. It was the joy of being in the Father's presence. It was the joy of being seated in heavenly places, far, far above all his enemies. The joy of finishing all the hard work and entering into the rest. This was the unspeakable joy that was full of glory. This was the joy that was full of God, full of miracles and full of power. This is the joy of the Lord. It's his joy and not our joy. It's not a joy that we can work up. It's the joy of heaven, and he wants us to have it too. We can have days of heaven here on earth. We need this joy far more than we think. We need it desperately in these days as the world shakes and problems are rising up all around us. In the book of Nehemiah 8:10, it says that the joy of the Lord is our strength. This joy actually makes us strong. This joy empowers us. This joy embodies the greatest power in the universe, and that is the power of the resurrection. The joyous release of energy that took Christ out of hell and seated him in heavenly places next to his Father and now our Father. It was his desire fulfilled. It's wonderful when what we desire is fulfilled, for it brings great satisfaction and vibrant joy. This joy can be ours too as a blessing from the Lord. Romans 8:17 tells us that all Jesus achieved on the cross, including this joy, is ours too. And since we are his true children, we qualify to share all his treasures, for indeed we are heirs of God himself. And since we are joined to Christ, we also inherit all that he is and all that he has. We will experience being co-glorified with him, provided that we accept his sufferings as our own. All that is being given is now ours too. The last part of this verse really needs to be understood properly, so as to help us see that his glory is also given to us. We need to know that we were co-crucified with him, and that we also suffered there with him. It's as if we did it too, and this now entitles us to share in his reward, which includes his glory. We can share his joy. This joy is highly prized by Christ, and we need it in these last days. 2 Corinthians 6:19 in the Living Bible says, "Our hearts ache, but at the same time we have the joy of the Lord. We are poor, but we give rich spiritual gifts to others." This joy empowers us even when our hearts ache, and also when our bodies ache. This joy causes us to rise above our problems, so much so that it can empower us to sing at midnight like Paul and Silas in prison after being lashed. It says in Matthew 25:21 that the reward of the faithful was to enter into the joy of the Lord. The reward was to be clothed with the joy of the Lord. John 15:11 tells us that we can come to the place where we can have this joy, his joy, in us, and that this joy will be complete. I don't think we really understand how valuable this joy is. We really need this joy. It's not the transient joy the world offers. As David said in Psalm 4:7, this joy far surpasses those who are happy about the prospect of a bountiful harvest. It's greater than an endless shopping spree or winning lotto. This is the joy of the Lord, and we need to believe for it as part of our inheritance. We have inherited God, and in his presence is fullness of joy. Psalm 16:11 says, "You will show me the path of life, granting me the joy of your presence and the pleasures of living with you forever." Ask the Father for this joy, value it, and let his wraparound presence empower you every day.